I think that this next 12 months is going to be it's going to be a very big 12 months because you have demand should double or triple or maybe go up by a factor of 10, anywhere from 2 to 10 demand to buy on a monthly basis. And the supply available for sale will be cut in half in April. And so instead of $1 billion of Bitcoin available for miners each month, it'll be $500 million. And so it's pretty unprecedented that you would go from supply-demand balance of maybe there's $15 billion of organic demand and $12 billion of organic supply. What happens when the one doubles, the other one cuts in half, and then the price has got to adjust up? So I think this is a big 12-month period. It'll be a coming out party, right? It's kind of like the graduation of Bitcoin from college, if you will.
Michael Saylor believes 2024 is going to be a massive year for Bitcoin. Something unprecedented is going to happen to a new asset class. At the same time as Bitcoin supply is being cut in half thanks to the Bitcoin halving in April 2024, demand is also going to at least double thanks to a Bitcoin ETF. Saylor believes a Bitcoin ETF could increase demand between 2 and 10 times. The combination of supply being cut whilst demand explodes is unprecedented and can only force price in one direction. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Saylor reveals his outlook for Bitcoin from 2025 and beyond. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
To be clear, if I had $1 billion right now to invest, I would buy Bitcoin. I wouldn't buy anything else. I wouldn't buy a building. I wouldn't buy an altcoin. I wouldn't buy a power company. I wouldn't buy land. I wouldn't buy real estate. I wouldn't buy a sports team. I wouldn't buy a Picasso painting. There's nothing on earth that I would buy other than Bitcoin if I had that money. I think everything else is risky, and I don't say you can't make money in those other businesses. You can. Bernard Arnault makes money in a lot of businesses I don't understand, and so I respect them all. It's just I don't advocate or endorse any of them. I think that if you're the best in the world at something, you know it. You don't need me to tell you. And if you're the best in the world at something, you should go do that thing. You'll probably make money in it. What I believe is if you're not the best in the world at something and you simply want to make an investment and forget about it for 100 years, you buy Bitcoin and just be very careful about how you maintain the keys or how you custody it so you don't lose the keys and the like. And then the market will do the rest of the work for you. If you think about the future of Bitcoin, right, it's like 1 or 2% really understood. A friend of mine is in politics, and he said, what we learned in politics a long time ago is nobody knows what you said until you said it 56 times. 56 times. Like you would say the same exact thing 56 different times, and after the 56th time, it might register in their head what you just said, but they're not listening until then. So I believe that people in the crypto industry are very smart, and when you're very smart early in your career, you think that you should say it once or twice, and then you get bored of hearing yourself say it, and you go and you say something else. It's like everybody's got to say 100 different things because they feel like they already solved the problem, so they want to do another thing. I think it's very important to have the humility to note that most of the money in the world is control, and most of the power in the world is in the hands of people that still don't understand what Bitcoin is, and they're not going to get it until you've broached it to them dozens and dozens of times. So my approach to this is stay laser-like focused. That's why I have the laser eyes. Focus, right? And you've got to educate your investors, and you've got to educate your politicians, and you've got to educate your friends and your family, and you've got to I look forward to the time when Apple Computer will build Bitcoin into the iOS, and when Google will build it into the Android phone, and when Microsoft will build it in. But you know, if all these super high-tech people haven't figured it out and built it in yet, you gotta allow for the governor of your state or the president or for, you know, octogenarian billionaire investors, you gotta say that it's gonna take them a while to figure this stuff out. So we have a lot of auspicious things happening. We'll win them over. When the SEC approves these spot ETFs, that'll be a big educational experience, and then you'll have BlackRock and Fidelity and 100 other Wall Street firms educating all of the investors that control $900 trillion, and that'll go on for 30 years. It'll take 30 years for them to figure it out. And then at some point, all the big tech companies will follow the lead of, you know, Cash App and all of the forward-looking mobile apps and Lightning wallets, and it'll take them about a decade. And then I think with things like FASB's fair value accounting, right now the accounting for Bitcoin is indefinite and intangible, which makes it toxic to the balance sheet of a publicly traded company. And so going to fair value accounting, which should happen sometime next year, will allow someone to buy $1 billion of Bitcoin and mark it up and mark it down like they would own a security. That's kind of a critical next step, because that opens the door for 7,000 publicly traded companies or hundreds of thousands of companies that use GAAP accounting to consider this. And right now, the CFO would get fired or the CEO would never consider it, and they will instead, like Berkshire Hathaway sits on $160 billion of cash, Apple has $150 billion in cash. They're losing money on the cash, but the only thing they can buy with the cash is sovereign debt right now because of accounting rules, and the sovereign debt yields 5% pre-tax and 3% after tax. So we're going to educate the world by working with the regulators to get all these financial products approved. That's part of it. By working with the accounting community to put in place better accounting standards, by working with financial educators and Wall Street firms, by working with the politicians, by putting monetary engineering classes into universities. We need to teach people crypto theory and monetary theory. And I went to MIT. They didn't have a class in monetary theory. They didn't have a school of monetary engineering. And so I think that lots and lots of parts of our society need to get upgraded. It's going to take time. It'll probably be a transition over the course of 10, 20, 30 years. How long did it take to introduce electricity into the civilization? Or how long did it take to introduce the automobile? Or introduce radio or telephone. So these things take time, one generation, and there's a lot of work everywhere. And as William Gibson said, the future's already with us, but it's not evenly distributed. So there'll be some countries that'll be left behind, and other countries that'll leap ahead, and some companies will leap ahead. But I'm optimistic, and I think everything is developing auspiciously. And all we got to do is just keep our laser eyes on, and everybody you meet and everywhere you go, you have to explain the promise of Bitcoin and help. We need to show everybody, every person, every family, every company, every government, every institution, everybody how Bitcoin can solve their problem, how it makes them better. Right? Because Bitcoin fixes something for everybody. They just don't know what it is, and they don't understand Bitcoin. So if we explain to everybody we meet how Bitcoin helps them, then we will accelerate the adoption at the highest possible rate, and we do a good thing for ourselves, and we do a good thing for them. So that's my view on this, and there's never-ending work to do. Yeah, well, I think over the next 4 years, the time period from 2020 to 2024 was the transition from this being a retail, offshore, unregulated asset to this being an institutionalized, mainstream asset. And by the time we get to the end of 2024, I think that it will be an adolescent, mainstream asset. So I think that this next 12 months is going to be it's going to be a very big 12 months, because you have demand should double or triple or maybe go up by a factor of 10, anywhere from 2 to 10 demand to buy on a monthly basis. And the supply available for sale will be cut in half in April. And so instead of $1 billion of Bitcoin available for miners each month, it'll be $500 million. And so it's pretty unprecedented that you would go from supply-demand balance of maybe there's $15 billion of organic demand and $12 billion of organic supply. What happens when the one doubles, the other one cuts in half, and then the price has got to adjust up? So I think this is a big 12-month period. It'll be a coming out party, right? It's kind of like the graduation of Bitcoin from college, if you will, and coming out into the real world. And then I think the next 4 years, from 2024 to 2028, now you're going to have ferocious competition among Wall Streeters to get the most asset share, and you're going to have crypto exchanges competing, and you're going to have tech companies getting involved. I mean, Cash App sold $2.5 billion of Bitcoin, a quarter or something like that, so $10 billion a year. At some point, you're going to see all the other mobile tech companies, the Facebooks, the Apples, the Googles, et cetera, think, why wouldn't we want to sell 10 or 20 or $50 billion of Bitcoin a year? So I think 2024 to 2028, that's going to be really the go-go year. It's going to be very exciting. We're still in a high growth stage. I think, we'll stay in a high growth stage until big tech has adopted Bitcoin, when there's 2 or 3 or 4 billion handsets with Bitcoin built into them. That'll be one check. The other check will be when the big mega banks all are Bitcoin custodians, when JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and Bank of America and Deutsche Bank and every bank, Commonwealth Bank, when all of them say, it goes without saying that of course they've got to actually custody Bitcoin and make loans against it. When they're making loans and giving you mortgages and custodying it and buying it and selling it, I think that'll be the second check, right? And then the third check is when the entire money management community, right, all the money managers, all the wealth managers, when all of them are recommending Bitcoin to their clients, and it's just a universal global monetary index, right? And I think that those three things are going to drive massive adoption. And when they've all happened, then we'll move into the moderate growth stage. It'll still be growing well, but it won't be explosive growth, because I guess the last thing I left off would be when central banks of nation states are buying Bitcoin, right? That's the fourth leg of this. When all those four things have happened, it's just going to grow twice as fast as everything else, right? But until that's happened, it's going to be a lot of sparks, a lot of fire, a lot of excitement, a lot of green candle days, a lot of FUD, a lot of arguments, a lot of gnashing of teeth, and it's going to grow 2, 3, 4, 5x faster than the next best thing, I think. With volatility, right? With sharp drawdowns, with burst up to the upside. And if you're going to take a 4-year time horizon or longer, you'll be fine. If you try to trade it with a 4-month time horizon or a 4-week time horizon, you're going to give yourself anxiety and nervous fits, and probably you'll wreck yourself. So my advice is enjoy the ride, figure out how you can contribute to the Bitcoin ecosystem using whatever skills, relationships, and know-how you have, and assets you have, and keep your eyes on the horizon. I mean, there's a better world here for all of us, and we've never had such a great opportunity. So take the long view and enjoy the ride.
So there's Michael Saylor's predictions for Bitcoin in 2024 and beyond. The potential impact of the Bitcoin halving in April, coupled with the anticipated increase in demand due to a Bitcoin ETF, sets the stage for an unprecedented shift in the cryptocurrency market. According to Saylor, this unique combination of reduced supply and a surge in demand could significantly influence Bitcoin's value, potentially driving it to new heights. Saylor's prediction that a Bitcoin ETF could boost demand by 2 to 10-fold illustrates the growing mainstream acceptance and interest in cryptocurrencies. This change in the market dynamics could redefine how investors and the public at large view and interact with digital assets. Remember, Saylor's outlook for Bitcoin from 2025 onwards is just moments away. His insights might offer valuable guidance for anyone interested in the future of finance and crypto. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.